Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next session. So our next session is with Henrik Johansson. He is the co-founder and CEO of Gemba, and he have a really interesting topic. He's going to talk about 4 common pitfalls in product development. So Henrik, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Yeah, we're excited too for your topic. So I'm going to give you the stage and I will see you in the end of your presentation.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And thanks for everybody who's here, everybody's listening. I hope you're having a great day. And I hope that you'll get a lot of value out of this presentation. I think you do. I'm going to talk about the 4 most common pitfalls in product development. And it's really a mission critical topic and something we know a little bit about because we work with thousands of customers helping them create their products. So just 1 minute on who Gemba is. So I have started multiple businesses in my career, most recently Gemba. We're a platform for product development. So, everybody knows you go to Alibaba to buy stuff that already exists. But if you ask people, where do you go to create new things? Nobody has an answer, right? And that's why we created Gemba, because we know it's complex and difficult to create new products. And that's why we created our platform and our network. So we have, on one hand, a software platform and marketplace. And on the other hand, we have hundreds of experts, designers, engineers, and thousands of factories. And we worked with over 1,000 customers to date. So you might recognize some of these brands: Gordon Ramsay's, Hexclad, Papa Shot, Ollie World, etc. Just so that you know that I know a little bit about new product development. So here's the topic. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Something that makes me really sad is seeing small businesses with great ideas fail and go under. And a lot of companies go under when they try new product development, but when they don't have the experience to do it. Because it's relatively simple to go buy something on Alibaba, right, and import it and maybe put your own logo on it. But once you start changing a product, once you do incremental improvement or brand new product, it gets tricky. And there's a lot of steps. And if only one step goes wrong, that whole product journey can fail. And for a small business, that failure can be fatal, right? You can't afford to spend 10 grand on a product design, or God forbid, $50,000 on a purchase order and have the container arrive and the product doesn't work, right? That could be the end of the business. So we see that there's this huge and growing need. So the more saturated and mature these marketplaces become, right? So the more people you have selling the same things, and the harder it is to make a profit. So we see that the only way that businesses really can survive and thrive long term is developing new products, selling unique things that other brands aren't selling. But it's difficult. A lot of things can go wrong, and unfortunately, often things do go wrong. So that's what we're here to talk about today. I'm not here to pitch you on Gemba. I'm going to tell you what Gemba can help with, but I'm hoping that this is going to be valuable whether you work with Gemba or not. These are lessons that I think many people can learn from, and hopefully can avoid some terribly painful mistakes. So whether when we work with customers, they're either in 1 or 2 camps, right? They're trying to modify an existing product. This is pretty common. We call this incremental improvement or incremental innovation. They see a product that's selling well on Amazon or Walmart or other platforms, and they say, I think I could do that a little bit better. I can tweak something. I can change something. Maybe it's just changing the colors. Maybe it's changing the materials. Maybe it's adding a handle to a cup, whatever it is. But there's change there. So there's not just ordering off the shelf. So you have to do some level of design, and you have to find a factory can actually do that too, right? And then the other side, if you really want to create a new product and revolutionize creating $1 million product, you typically have to create something new, something different that has some material differentiation from existing products. And then there's another level of complexity that people often struggle with. So let's double click and go in more detail. What are the most common pitfalls? What are the things, once you've decided that you want to create a new product, whether it's an incremental improvement or a brand new product, these 4 things still apply. People still make mistakes in research, in product design, in sourcing and manufacturing. And there's challenges in all of them. And as I said earlier, if just one step goes wrong, the risk is that the whole journey goes wrong. So let's dig in. Let's start with research. Let's talk about what are common pitfalls and mistakes people make in research. Well, the first one is they don't do any research. We have Bob here at the top to the right, the overconfident guy that says, "Oh, I know my product's gonna succeed. Everybody's gonna love it." That's not a good approach. It's great to be confident, but you really need to do the research. Another thing I see a lot in the Amazon and Walmart space is that people just use one tool, right? There's some great tools out there that gives you access to a ton of data. But sometimes people are overly reliant on those tools. And as a result, they don't get the full picture of the market or the competition or the opportunity. And then finally, some people are, I sometimes suffer from this myself, is that I'm very analytical, so you can start doing research. And it's great that you do research, but sometimes people get stuck in analysis paralysis and never get to the finish line, right? So, especially in today's market, things are moving so fast. So odds are, if you have a product idea, it's been inspired by something that's also available to thousands of other people or millions of other people, right? So I believe, and we believe at Gemba, that if you have a product idea and you think it's a good one, you need to quickly figure out, try to validate it, and then get to market as fast as you can, because otherwise the risk is somebody else can get there before you, right? So at the second half of this presentation, I'll go into how we can address these, but I'm going to continue to move forward to the other pitfalls. So pitfall number one, not doing enough research, not doing research at all, or getting stuck in the research phase and never moving beyond it. The second big problem we see is design. Again, some people don't even do it. They go directly to the factory potentially, or just think that an image or a drawing is sufficient to go make something. So not doing design is a common mistake. The second one is not doing DFM. DFM stands for design for manufacturing. And this is something we see, like you see the graph to the right there. Sometimes people come to us and have these beautiful drawings. They work with a product design agency, and they must, they spend tens of thousands of dollars, and they come to us and say, now we want to make this. And they haven't even talked to a factory yet. They haven't worked with a design agency that have connections with factories. So if you don't do DFM, design for manufacturing, risk is that you end up with a design that may look beautiful, but once you go to the factories, it's not manufacturable. You can't make it. Or maybe you can make it and it's going to cost you $100,000, $200,000 in tooling. Or maybe you can make it, but the unit cost is going to be $50 and you can only sell it for $60. So the DFM phase is so important to do up front. You have to do design in conjunction with the manufacturers to make sure that the product you're making can be made, and it can be made for the kind of cost that you think your consumers are going to pay. So that's the second mistake in design we see. And then the last one is losing ownership. Sometimes people go straight to the factory. They say, I'm not going to pay for design. I'm just going to go straight to the factory, and I'm going to find a factory who can make this product, which is not a bad idea at all. It's great to work with the factories. The problem is if you don't have the right legal protections, if you haven't been through this process before, if you just give this idea to the factory, what's preventing them from just making it and selling it to other people? Or even taking the innovation and when you try to move it to another factory, they'll sue you because they own the molds, they own the tools. They could argue that they own the design. So we highly recommend working design agencies, but make sure they know how to do DFM. We highly recommend talking to factories, but make sure that you know what you're doing and that you have the right legal protections before you engage with the factory. So those are some of the common mistakes in design. I feel I'm negative here, but I'm going to get to the positive stuff soon. I'm going to get to the solutions. So hang with me for two more pitfalls. Pitfall number 3, sourcing. A lot of people, everybody knows Alibaba. I was at the Co-Create conference a month ago. Great stuff. I mean, they have the biggest network of factories everywhere. The problem that we see, that the mistake that a lot of people do, they just go on Alibaba and they don't verify. They think that they find a factory in Alibaba and they start working with them, and they haven't even verified, is this a real factory? over half of the listings on Alibaba are not actually factories. They're trading companies, they're agents, and those can disappear tomorrow. So it's really important to verify that you're actually working with a factory. And Alibaba's got some pretty good tools now that helps you there, but still, there's over 200,000 factories on Alibaba. So got to make sure that you evaluate multiple of them, multiple factories, you compare them, and you ensure that that they are real good factories in good standing. Second part, some people say, okay, I'm not comfortable doing this on my own. I'm going to hire a sourcing agent. Sourcing agents are great. There's some really good ones out there, and they can be super helpful. The problem sometimes is that they're not transparent. Not all of them. I'm not saying all sourcing agents are like this, but often the sourcing agent is not transparent. They're sitting between you and the factory, and they negotiate the price, and typically they get a piece of it. Sometimes you don't even see what the actual purchase order is. It goes through the sourcing agent. So you may think that $15 is a great price for your product, but the factory may only get 10 of that. Maybe the sourcing agent is keeping a third of it. You don't know. And sometimes if you have a sourcing agent between two, you're kind of missing that step of, do you really know which factory you're working with? Do you really know where that factory is? Do you really know that there's no child labor, slave labor, bad practices are going on? So sourcing agents can be great, but you always have to make sure that you are in direct connection with the factory. Finally, see this all the time too, that people are so excited that they find one factory, but then they don't order samples from the factory, right? They're have blind faith in that this product is going to go right. And we generally recommend you should get samples from multiple factories, because you don't really know what kind of quality that factory is going to produce. And it's hard to assess if you're just looking at one. So generally, it's a good idea to sample from multiple factories. And it's not always that the most expensive one is the best one. Sometimes you find that the cheapest one is actually have the best quality. Sometimes the more expensive one is actually buying the products from the cheaper one and just marking it up. So you gotta be super careful there. And I think the common theme here is transparency. You got to be able to know who you're dealing with and who that factory is. Finally, before we jump into the solutions, manufacturing. So now you found your factory, you're excited, you're going into production. This is where a lot of things can go wrong too. I have some silly images here of products gone wrong. But before even looking at the quality control and making sure the product is, you have to understand the compliance part of this. You have to understand about the testing part of it. What if there's electronics, what kind of certifications do you need? Do you need to apply to Prop 65 or qualify? There are all types of regulations and different regulations in different parts of the world. So before you go and invest a lot of money in buying a product and start selling it, you got to make sure that you know what the compliance requirements are and the product safety testing requirements. Second, quality control. So now we're not talking about if the product is safe. We're talking about product actually working the way it's supposed to be working. And you have to, at least in our opinion, you have to have an expert that knows how your specific type of product works, that has done quality control in that area, and also somebody who's local that can go into the factory and actually test the product, that it functions the way it's supposed to function as it comes off the production line, and then quickly be able to adjust if it doesn't meet the requirements, right? Because if you go through the whole production and find out after the fact that it didn't work, then now you have a conflict. Now you have a problem with you in the factory. So having in-factory representation, doing QC as soon as products start rolling off the production line is absolutely essential. And then finally, logistics and importing. This kind of ties back to the compliance part of it. If you don't have the proper certifications or testing done, your shipment may get stuck in customs, right? And that'll be the worst outcome. If you've done all these, you avoided all these pitfalls, you're here at the end of the process, and your container gets stuck in customs, right? So making sure you plan ahead and that you know what the requirements are for your specific product. So enough negativity or talking about potential problems. Let's talk about some solutions. Quick pitch for Gemba here. Gemba is a platform and marketplace. So all these things that we just talked about, all these different steps that you have to go through. That's what Gemba does. We build a proprietary software platform that manages all the steps that you have to go through. And then we have a network of over 600 experts. These are industrial designers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and supply chain experts, and over 2,000 factories all over the globe that will work with you on your project. So enough pitching. Let's go into solutions. So for each solution, I'll talk about a general solution that you can apply, whether you work with Gemba or not, and then I'll mention subtly what Gemba can help with. So solution number one, research. Number one, do invest in research. It's relatively low cost, and it can save you so much headache, right? If you invest, you pick a product, you think, oh, this product is great, but you don't research the competitive landscape, and then by the time you start selling it, you realize that Nike or Under Armour have a product just like it, right? Now you are in a world of hurt, competing against folks that have $100 million marketing budgets. So the research, from competitive landscape, also understanding what customers like and don't like, what they're looking for, is super important, and it will pay off in spades. You may not want to spend a few $1,000s up front to do this, but trust me, it's worth it, and you will avoid major mistakes by doing research up front. And there's tons of great tools. Helium 10, Zonguru, Jungle Scout are great research tool. PickFu is an awesome company, and that we use internally that help you, test different product ideas with consumers and get feedback directly. If you work with Gemba or someone like Gemba, we have canned pre-configured reports that we can run. So if you're looking at making a coffee maker or a baby bath, like some of these images I'm showing here, we can very quickly generate a report that helps you see what the competitive landscape is, what are the features that consumers like or don't like in the existing products, who are the top sellers, and also help you identify potential new product opportunities. So that's bottom line. Do the research, whether you use Gemba or somebody else, but make sure you do the research up front. Second step, solution, design. Again, invest in design. It's the same thing. It's like if you're building a house and you don't hire an architect, right? You just go straight to the builder and say, yeah, I got to build a house, thinking like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's not going to work out very well, right? And product development is the same. If you don't have a clear design, an architecture, a blueprint for what you're trying to create, odds are that whoever's making that, no matter how good the factory is, they're not going to make it just the way you envision it, because odds are they can't read your mind. So invest in design, like we talked about, design with manufacturing experience. Make sure if you hire a product agency that they have actually experience in design for manufacturing, that they ask questions about how do you ensure that this is manufacturable? What step in the process do you test for affordability, and when do you work with engineers and designers to make sure that this product can be made for the price we're trying to get to? So design with experience, DFM, absolutely essential. And if you go straight to the factory, get the legal stuff right. Make sure you have representation, and make sure that, because the legal American or Western-based attorneys are not going to help you much in China. So make sure that you have things buttoned up with someone that has experience working with companies overseas. Of course, if you go with Gemba, we have 2 options. You can go to our marketplace and find already designed products that have been identified through data research. So combine research and design into one, and you can find products, you can reserve them, and they become yours, your exclusive seller. Or if you have an idea that nobody's done before, you can also bring that to Gemba, and we will help you with the design. Third solution, sourcing. I always recommend that whether you work with Gemba or somebody else, hire an expert. May not be a sourcing agent, but somebody who have sourced products like this before. Because you can go to any general sourcing engine, but if you go to somebody who is, like, let's say you're creating a sustainable running shoe, right? You want to work with someone who has worked with Under Armour or Allbirds or somebody like that knows who those factories are, that knows what those materials are, that knows what parts of the world to go to and not go to. So do the research up front, find somebody that really knows what they're talking about when it comes to your specific product category. Just because you find somebody that done footwear, it's a big difference if it's, we're talking Christian Louboutin high heels, or we're talking about rubber boots sold at Dick's Sporting Goods. Like, they're very different products, very different supply chains. So make sure you find someone who's done something very similar to what you're doing. And as we talked about before, direct access to the factory. It's great to use experts. It's great to use agents to find new partners and leverage their network to get there. But you have to have direct access to that. This is your partner. This is the factory is making the product that you're selling to your customers. You have to have direct access and build a relationship with the factory directly. And ideally go visit them and build that relationship over time. And finally, as we talked before, sampling. Don't leave out sampling. You may be rushing. You want to get this product on the shelves before the holiday season or Mother's Day or whatever it is, right? But you cannot cheat or rush sampling. You got to make sure that you get samples, ideally from multiple factories, because that will teach you a lot about the quality and how that factories interact with you. So those are tips. You can do it yourself, or you can do it at Gemba. Finally, solution number 4, manufacturing. You got all the way to the production line, right? Ready to go. You're gonna make this product. You're super excited. We talked about compliance and testing. Make sure that you know that this product is made in a way that will allow you to sell it in the markets you're trying to sell it. There may be different regulations in Europe versus America. There may be certain safety requirements, there product safety requirements, and maybe certain materials that you can't use, or if you use them, you need to have a label on them. So make sure you hire an expert that knows what kind of requirements, compliance requirements are for your specific products. You have to retain a third-party expert. Yes, the factory will do QC, but no, don't rely on the factory doing your QC alone. Yes, they should do QC, 100%, absolutely. You should demand it, but you should also hire your own expert. And again, an expert that has experience in your specific product, feet on the street in the location that's going to be in the factory, doing that QC and getting you the results so you can see them firsthand. Nothing else is adequate. You have to do that, particularly in new product development, right? It's one thing if you're buying your existing product off the shelf, you already bought it before, you know what it looks like. But if you're creating something that's different, you've changed requirement, particularly there is some level of engineering required, like moving parts, like mechanical engineering, or electric components, electrical engineering, you have to do very thorough QC and be very specific about what you want to test and exactly how that products work. And finally, as we mentioned, plan for logistics and importing early. You don't want to get all the way to the finish line for your container to get stuck in the harbor or through customs. That's the worst ever. So those, I hope that's helpful. Those are 4 common pitfalls. I hope the value that there's 4 different solutions how to address those. Gemba is here to help if you want our help. I'm here to give you advice if you want advice. One thing that we're offering exclusively to this conference, to the eCom Power Conference, is a free product opportunity report. So if you, and this includes market data, key competitors, customer insights, an opportunity matrix where we map out what we think the opportunities are. This, we charge typically $500 to our existing customers for this. I believe it's a $5,000 value or more. There are other folks out there that are charging more than that for this type of research. But since we have built the technology to do it very efficiently, we can do it a lot cheaper than others. And because we love this community, we are, for a short period of time, giving away 1 report for 1 specific product category for free to the attendees of this conference. So email me at henrik@gemba.com. Put in the subject line eCom Power Offer and state your product category in the body of the email. And give me a few days to get back to you, because I may be regretting giving this away, because I think a lot of
Thank you.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's an amazing offer, guys. Take advantage of that. You have Henrik email. We will also try to get you maybe a link, make it faster and quicker to get to him. So that was great. Thank you so much for all this amazing information. I learned so much. So great presentation. I hope you guys took some notes. And if you want to watch it again, please make sure you get in the all access pass, and to take advantage of these bonuses and other stuff. We have so many bonuses for you guys. So make sure you upgrade your ticket, and stay tuned. We have so many prizes coming your way as well. So Henrik, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I will see you
Pleasure.
guys in the next session.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.